So this is a piece of history, man.
Yes, and I preserved it.
To Miss Kalyani Gadgil. Oh, I've seen the date right now, 9th July 2002. We are pleased to inform you that you have been appointed on contract as a fitness consultant with Kaizzad Capadia Fitness Management Private Limited. it was that before K11 started.
And what a thing that we received it to, I mean, I just found it right.
On the following terms and conditions. This
Yes.
contract will be valid for a period of 1 year commencing from the 9th of July 2002. Your monthly retainer will be rupees 11,000. This will be paid to you after deducting TDS. Very thorough of me in 2002. Your appointment is subject to the existing rules and regulations framed by the company for its employees as amended, altered, modified by the company from time to time. Bloody hell, I know all this. You will be in the full You will be in the full-time employment of Kaizzad Capadia Fitness Management Private Limited. That is true. Full-time employment.
You should write full life employment, full time.
And will not engage yourself in any work, professional employment, either honorarily or otherwise, during the period of your employment with us. For any exceptions to this point, you need to take specific approvals of the management. You will not divulge or make any personal use of any information regarding the company, its associates, its clients, or any other entity which becomes available to you in the course of your employment with us. We are writing this letter to you in duplicate. If the terms and conditions aforesaid are acceptable, kindly return the duplicate copy duly signed as a token of your acceptance. I want to know who bloody drafted this letter.
Shruti, I guess.
Not possible.
And little
Shruti also didn't.
did you know, sending a letter to future Mrs. Capadia.
Call Bhakti.
That's what I wanted to call them. HR, what are you calling you?
Right? Isn't Gadgil or Tilak?
No, Gadgil is her this thing. So her first husband
Okay.
expired.
Yeah.
So that is his this thing, Gadgil. And before that, Tilak is her maiden son.
Right.
Hi, now. Let's go through these points, please. Look at the date. Frame this and put it up in her room. She's Bhakti, she's HR.
Right. Sunil.
So, seriously, preserve this. I don't know how she found it yet.
Yours truly.
This company was there in existence before K11.
अच्छा.
Then I dissolved this company and then
क्या credit उसका? What are you
this
doing?
is
That's my letter.
if you will be in full-time employment of Kaizzad Capadia.
Yeah.
If you remove Fitness Management Company Private Limited, it is still true.
I mean full time, full lifetime employment.
Yeah. So, motive behind it was not that, oh, education is a great business, let's get into it. It is a recession-free business. Vocational education, good money. A lot of thoughts, right? So, none of those thoughts. So, basically, K11 Fitness Management Company Private Limited was a gym setup and management company. Okay? Now, a gym setup generally takes about 3 months. So, even if you've got imported equipment or you're manufacturing it here, import and manufacture of equipment takes 3 months. Doing the entire interiors, even if it's a 10,000 square feet gym, takes 3 months. So what I used to do is, while the setup is going on, I would shortlist and hire, say 20 trainers, just as an example. 10 in the morning, 10 in the evening. That's a big number, just for an example. These 20 people would then go through a training with me for 3 months. I would find a small space with dumbbells and barbells and put them through an intensive course. So whatever I know a lot, obviously that's how it should be. I know a lot more than I used to know back then. 10 years later, I will know way more than I know now. That's how it is. We keep learning. Whatever I knew, which was more than others, I saw to it that everybody was on the same page, that we will do things extremely scientifically. The USP of any gym that was set up by K11 Fitness Management Company Private Limited was always the trainers. Even if the budget was like Exert, even Exert was known for its trainers more than the scope of the gym. It was the best gym facility in the country at that time on the seafront of Worli, but it was something which was known for the service provided by trainers. Kalyani was a trainer on the floor, Mayur was a trainer on the floor. Mayur Sabnis is the executive director of K11 right now. Right? Abbas was a trainer on the floor. Abbas Ali is doing very well now with Bodyholics. And so many others who have done very well in the fitness industry here. They were all floor trainers at that time. So we're known for that. Problem is that after I train 20 people and the gym starts off, 3 of them leave in the first 3 months. Now what the hell do I do? I can't take on 3 people and spend another 3 months. वो एक बार किया. So my business partner, Devki Khimji at that time, coming from a business family and having that acumen, says, we should start an academy. We'll get some running income from there. But the main thing, we will get trainers on a regular basis for our gyms that we set up. We don't need to do individual workshops. We'll start courses. At that time I was like, that's a wild idea. Starting an academy, do you know what it takes to start an academy? She says, I've got a place in Santa Cruz. Can we have a look at that place? I said, listen, I'll need a gym floor. I'll need a classroom. That's how I'll be able to train them. Equipment, who's going to get it? So she says, you have a place, look at the place. Tell me whether it's workable. And that is actually the Mumbai Academy now. And we started off with 1,500 square feet. 1 classroom and 1 small tiny gym. Today, the academy stands at about 6,000 square feet of effective space, which we'll go see right now. So 6,000 square feet of space from 1,500. So it's grown 4 times, 4-fold in size at the same location. How did that happen? Because we wanted to reverse engineer. That was the reason for starting K11 Fitness Academy. Now, how did it then become our domain? Because then you realize suddenly that this is my actual domain expertise is here. I can create a syllabus. So at that time, like I now have a teacher strength of about, I think about 40 teachers totally, if you count the master trainers and the lecturers, everybody put together, of the sports nutrition faculty, exercise science faculty, master trainers, or some milake around, I think 40 teachers I've got. At that time, the course would start off. Kaizzad Capadia was a lecturer. Kaizzad Capadia would take demo lectures, which means give running commentary while he worked out. Right? Kaizzad Capadia would take the practicals and Kaizzad Capadia would take the assessments. It was one-man show running throughout. And again, it was Devki who got behind me and said, no, yeah, so make more lecture. I said, no, I can't do that. I can't teach somebody to lecture like me. I don't know how to. So she said, but how can we increase the business? It's only going to be 1 batch, and that also, you take really 3 months to finish 1 batch, 2 months at that time. And then the next batch can start only after 2 months. And yet we covered up the costs with that. Mayur automatically happened because he had that audiographic memory, and he used to just sit listening to my lectures, and I didn't even realize when he rose to that level. He gave few inklings that he can teach, because what used to happen is I would give a lecture. At the end of the lecture, Mayur would come to me and say, by the way, you missed out that example. So he's talking about the things that I lecture. So he said, you didn't mention that which you normally mention. You didn't mention this. And it's like, it started occurring to me, how the hell does this guy remember that at this time, I do take this example? So then the thought started, it's probably possible that he can take the lecture. And that's how he started lecturing. And then there was Kamlesh, and then there was Nikhil. These boys were showing promise. And now we have a proper lecturer training course, which happens in-house. We don't charge for it because it is proprietary. It is our way of teaching. So we put them through very strict non-disclosure agreements and all of that, and it's a big contract that they have to sign. So yeah, you said K11 has a setup. Yes, it has a setup. It's a school, and it's brick and mortar, and it's got proper classrooms, not a virtual classroom. There's nothing virtual about K11. It's all, you need to reach that destination and you need to study. The teacher is right there, and when he teaches, instead of you just going through a study resource or even symposiums or webinars or whatever, it's still one way. You can even make it interactive sometimes with tech, but yet there's a limited time. So when it's a class and somebody raises the hand and asks a question and the teacher resolves it, or the teacher sees a confused expression, how many times do we really ask questions? Students don't ask questions. A K11 teacher is trained to see a question mark on the face of a student. The teacher can sense it. So, nahi samajh mein aaya. Then he says, I'll explain again. All this is lost when it comes to atmosphere, the ambience, the teacher, his body language. All that matters. The same thing I had done for one of my other teachers, and this is one of my most favorite examples of body language. So we've got teaching philosophies, and one teaching philosophy is that we stand and deliver. We never bloody sit. So a classic thing happened. The lecturer was a prolific lecturer, really guy who, gives his heart and soul into his lectures, very active. So they've all each got their own version of a little bit of me when they deliver. He was sitting on a platform and delivering his lecture like this. So he was sitting there and he had his hands on his thighs like that, and he was talking to the class. He was talking. So he was in a chatty mode. He was chatting actually. He was connecting with the students. Everything that was coming out of his mouth was also logical. There was nothing wrong that he was teaching, but this is the way he was teaching. The back rows, the two back rows, the students, they were sitting on those study chairs. You saw the study chairs. They were sitting like this. This is how he was sitting. Okay? So they were sitting like this and watching the lecture. They were paying attention. They were not even distracted. They were paying attention. They were watching like that. Now we had just taken a policy decision. We never sit and teach. So again, I saw him sitting on the camera, so I called. And again, the same, that mobile went to him. He came out of the classroom. I said, Rajay, you two have a lot of energy. I mean, this thing, we just decided we're going to stand and talk always. Come baithe ho jara, please just go inside and stand here. Okay, sir, sorry. And he went in. I never shout at my teachers if I catch them, because they will deliver a lecture. So if they get a barging from me, the rest of the lecture goes all this thing. So I nicely said, this is not your style. Come on, stand and deliver. He goes inside and continues his lecture but doesn't sit. So he's walking around and delivering. The last row guys, and I didn't know this would happen, but when I saw him enter the classroom again, the camera is from behind. So I can see the last students and I can also see the lecturer. So when he entered, within 5 seconds of him entering the classroom and walking around, the back row that was sitting like this, listening to him, they did this. And they sat upright. Reflection. So when he was sitting and chatting, they were like this. When he stood up, they actually became like this. They didn't have to be told, they just responded because the teacher was standing. Now, it doesn't require a degree in psychology to know that the amount you will absorb, you're paying attention, but the amount you'll absorb will never be as much as if you are listening like this. Automatically absorption is higher. Now, if you can keep a control over all of that, the kind of learning and absorption that you get, online cannot compare. Lab work, the impossible. It's a very simple requirement. This gym floor that you're seeing is a very simple requirement. It's simple, and there are a lot of practicals happen on gym floors. In fact, even K11 at one point in time, long time back, used to sometimes take practicals in cities where we did not have a setup. We would take on the commercial gym floor of somebody who didn't mind, and we would pay them some rent also. But then members would be there and the students would be there. There is no music system on this lab floor, not because we can't afford it, because a music system is not to be there in a lab. It's not a commercial gym floor. Instruction happens. A lot of theory is explained. How can you have music? But then if you're going to use a commercial gym floor and share it with members, members won't even tolerate lowering the volume.
Once people used to train.
When it comes to fees, we charge the appropriate fees. We don't even know whether we are the highest. We don't even know what the other courses are charging. So what our course fees are is what covers our costs and leaves us a very small margin. We love improving things and evolving things. So obviously when we went from 1500 square feet to 6000 square feet, when the course went from 2-month course to 5-month course, because the knowledge dispense kept on increasing, when teachers had to be trained over 1 year before they could take up classes, when things grew to a point where we had to assure that our successful students, the ones who get certified, that they get good reputed placements. We had to create a placement department. For student grievances, we had to create a support cell. For your assessments, we evolved to a system where earlier a teacher would multitask. Teacher would take the lectures and teacher would take the exams. So understanding education, we said no. Despite the fact that the assessments are happening fairly, who's to say? It has to be completely and totally free of bias. So unbiased, fair assessments. So we then trained teachers to the level of teacher grade, but then we had a teaching department and we had an assessment department. The assessors do not teach, the teachers do not assess. So let's assume that there is a salary of 50,000 rupees. Just giving you an example. And it's a way more. So we're talking about salaries of anywhere between 75 to a lakh. Let's assume that that salary takes care of lecturing and assessment. Now, if I have to have assessors which are teacher grade, then the assessment department takes up equal amount of money in remuneration as the teaching department. Correct? So it doubles up the cost. But those costs, they don't hurt us because it's in the right direction. They're the valid costs. So we earlier used to teach only with a whiteboard. Now we teach with a whiteboard and projector. Now we've graduated onto an interactive projector because we want our lecturers to start scribbling on the slides. So we've got a digital pen that does the needful. Anything that improves the learning experience. So we could have given a spiral bound textbook. Oh, bada mota wala bhi la. Spiral bound textbook we could have given. Just like that. Cyclo-styled. You know those Xerox copied ones? I'll tell you one thing. So sometimes to save money, what will a student do? He'll tell a friend who has spent money on a manual, and he's got a nice hardbound manual from which he studies, and because of lack of money, he say, "Meko de de, I will Xerox it." Correct? Now when you Xerox a book, a particular level of enjoyment is not there. It's a little bit more tedious. The ink is smudged a bit. Reading is tedious. It's not that. This is our textbook. This is the quality of K11 textbook.
It's the version.
So this is edition 2. Edition 3 is still happening. This is edition 2. But this is the quality of the printing. So none of K11 work goes to the lowest vendor, lowest bid or lowest quote. More often than not, it is always the highest quote that we go for, literally. So this book is copyrighted.
I have that. I have edition 2. I have this book since 2000.
Not this book.
Not this one, obviously,
This
but
one, yeah.
but edition 2. That's why I said edition 2.
No, edition 2 has also gone through a lot of changes. So you can call it 2.1, 2.2, but it's not edition 3. It's gone through a lot of changes as well also. From what you're talking about, the spiral bound, no?
Not the spiral bound. I have it like it's not the same.
Every single, okay, look at this. Now when you're making a study resource, and copywriting, without copywriting there's no value, correct? So this written by Kaizzad Capadia, compiled by Kaizzad Capadia. So compiled, curated, written has to be specified. What I'm taking from where, that reference has to be given. Those permissions need to be taken. Okay, the images, if they've been taken from somewhere, those people need to be notified. Or you need to see that it's a resource-free image or a license-free image. Exercise form and technique. We do an elaborate shoot. So that was a teacher, that's Kalyani. This was shot. None of these have been lifted off the net. Now that's the cost of making the manual. This is done with a professional photographer. This actually has been done. So it's been inspired by another book, but this is the guy, the artist, has tried to make Kalyani's face and this musculature, because he's an anatomist. He's the anatomy sketching artist. So he was contracted to make this. This is not lifted off anywhere. Nothing is lifted off. There is not a single bloody copy paste in this book. That is why this can be copyrighted. Abhito right now getting it copyrighted means that they have some very nice plagiarism softwares to test plagiarism. So literally when they scan your book, it comes in a red or green. The red ones means that they've been lifted. And only I know the way I write the books, because it is written with no copy paste. So I'll do a lot of research. There will be very 30-40 windows opened up on my computer. I'll be reading all of that and learning. I've understood the concept now. Keep on typing. So there's no chance only, because they are my words. The concepts are scientific, the science remains the same, but the delivery is mine. This was evaluated by a specialist evaluator. So there are chartered accountants with different specializations. So this chartered accountant, Mr. Sujal Shah, is a very celebrated chartered accountant in evaluating intangibles. He's the one who evaluated the Coca-Cola flavor. And these values are values of intangibles. So he had that time 4 years back. Now of course the value is more. But the making cost of this manual was valuated at 1.5 crores. Okay, and this 1.5 crore value was accepted by the NSDC as compulsory collateral. So this IP right now, till I pay back NSDC with 6% interest, this belongs to the National Skill Development Corporation. It's a done deal. I get a lot of benefits from the NSDC. We grow because of the NSDC. So they own the IP. It's a collateral. They don't own it, but it's a collateral. In case I default, it's theirs. Right? So this book is one example of not looking at the costs. This can be made at much lower costs. But then learning doesn't happen. This student handbook was again created by us because we saw, so everything is a need gap. So the thing is that we saw students writing notes on chits and on crumpled paper. The people who do exercise science courses or fitness academy, that is why I had to change the name to Academy of Fitness Sciences. I now want to call it the K11 School of Fitness Sciences. I don't want to call it the K11 Academy of Fitness Sciences. Right? Like the London School of Economics. So that's where the thing comes from. And I like the word school. I always call it a school. Online can never call itself a school. This is a school. This is where you come to learn. And once you enter those doors of that brick and mortar, what is so big about brick and mortar? It is the ambience. It is the feel of a school. So when you're doing your online studies, the cooker whistle goes off in the kitchen. Some kid comes crying. Some doorbell ting tong. This all puts you in a frame of mind that you are at home. Office environments. So the clackering of this is the sound of an office. On the gym floor, the clanging of the plates, the dumbbell, a little bit of a grunt. Those are the sounds that tell you that you're in a gym. The sounds of a library, that means that the silence of a library. Silence is also sound. And it's that wood and those reading lamps and that silence that puts you in the mood to read in the library. So all of these things count, ambience counts, and the brick and mortar just puts the student into study mode.
Brings out the right experience.
So you can work from home, but guess what? If you have the resources and you're rich and wealthy, you would want to work from home, but you in your big house are going to create a study, and you're going to have your work table and you're going to have your little office. It's not going to be by your bedside, or it's not going to be work from home, so laptop and you're in bed. You can't really work. That is why, and of course, people who cannot have the resources of doing that do that. But when you can afford it,
It's the first thing you do.
you'd have a workspace inside your home, a designated workspace, so that you block off, you're in office, you're at home, but you're in office. Even the clothes matter. So I used to always hate this working out in jeans. Somebody comes, removes his shirt and is pumping in jeans. So when you make that effort to really put on your lifting shoes, put on your vest, all that is gearing your body up. Your CNS is primed for a workout. So dressing up, carrying your workout clothes and not working out in the clothes that you walked into the gym is a big plus point. Similarly, you could be sitting in your lenga at your workspace. You'll work better if you just wear your corporate pants and shirt and then sit. It's just, again, a different dimension coming in. So I'm a big fan of brick and mortar schools, always have been. The most haloed institutions stay away from distance learning. And they attract people who want to go there and will go through all odds to get there. Today I'm extremely proud that distance learning was a concept because people stayed far from the place of education. You go to any of my centers, so you walk through the centers. Keep on asking, so aap kahan se ho? Jalandhar se. Aap kahan se ho? Shillong se. Aap kahan se ho? You might just say Nepal. We've got students from Nepal. Aap kahan se ho? Hum Siliguri se aaye. Aap kahan se ho? Hum Dehradun se aaye. All over the place. Today I've got just 4 centers. Mumbai, Pune, Delhi, Kolkata. Ahmedabad's opening up, work's happening, so that's going to be the 5th. But I don't mind calling ourselves pan-India because every center gets people from all states. And it's happening more and more. There are less people from that place and there are more people from out of town. Pune gets a lot of out of towners because standard of living is a bit cheaper, climate is better. So you get a lot of north people choosing Pune over Mumbai. So this is the kind of effort that you see on the part of the student to be there and be there at all. I could quadruple the income of K11 by going online. And I don't want to belittle the online guys because quite frankly it's a very tedious task initially to create a study resource and to even put in an iota of interactiveness. It's a humongous task. But once that task is done and once that investment is made, operating costs of an online study resource is next to nil compared to brick and mortar. Operating costs, which you just, for all the effort that you did to create that resource, you're earning money. But quite frankly, operating cost is hardly anything. So an online course could be charging half of what we charge. But then look at the operating costs. Right now, every learning center, which I would like to call as a center of excellence or whatever, every learning center, operating costs, and those are the simple operating costs. I'm not taking into account the way people calculate running cost is they'll factor in depreciation and so many other. I'm not talking about all of that. I'm just talking about the expense heads, right? Without any calculations, is 30 lakhs per month per center. That is the operating cost of the school. So if we are higher in terms of fees, the value is very much there. Gap, right? So now undeniable student gets this beautiful bag, and it's a lovely bloody trekking grade bag. Look at the bloody zipper quality, man. Look at the zipper quality. So everything, and we made it into a nice snazzy thing for them to carry. It's damn comfortable. Kalyani's inputs have gone into this bag. She's a trekker and a mountaineer. She's been, the vendor's also somebody who understands that. So a proper trekking grade bag. You can carry your laptop, your books, everything goes into this. It doesn't tear. We've seen guys using it for 2 to 3 years. And what we've done is we've not done that K11 Academy of Fitness Sciences, Dunhill Collar, Golivar Road, put the bloody area code, telephone number. So it's so embarrassing for the guy to carry around there with your entire address. Just this. And this. That's it. So then the bag comes in. Again, the order goes to the vendor with the most expensive quote because he's supposed to use bloody hell great material. It has to be a nice bag. So all of these things, so I get these ideas constantly to improve. But then yes, somewhere the costs have to be covered. Otherwise, such a great idea is going to sink. And obviously there are people who, so education is not really a price sensitive market actually. There are parents who always want their children to go to schools that are 10 times the cost of what they went to. No parent is ever going to want it. It's not that. It's just that you have to give value for money. And everything that you're spending on should be towards the student. So K11 works on a very simple business philosophy. Student comes first, everything for the student. Anything and everything to improve learning, improve teaching ability. And that's a simple thing, that's the product. And you keep bloody hammering at it, how can you make it better, how can you make it better? Even if you feel that, oh, we're teaching incredibly well, finally it has to be about how can we make it better, how can we make it better, that's how it should be. And that's how all these ideas keep coming, it's just a need gap. I wish it was this, I wish it was that. For my master trainer course, I now see to it that every gym floor has got smart TVs with YouTube inbuilt, because I need to show what is wrong, I need to show what is right. They have the Chromecast, so I can shoot somebody's form and technique, immediately mirror it on the TV screen. If I've shot in slow motion, I can show the person with the error that he's made. I can show the other 15 students in master trainer that the error is being made. Then I wanted to teach running gait, something that I wanted to teach. Before I thought of teaching running gait, I said, let me equip my gyms. So every gym floor, every academy gym floor has a woodway treadmill. So the woodways are there. Then I want to show my students in the lab that correct biomechanics and precise engineering, how it saves space. So the Cybex Brow has caught my attention as this tiny little thing that does everything that those humongous cable crossovers do. It is the most compact. And it is not the most compact, so Cybex does this. It is not the most compact because it's space saving, or space saving has been the agenda. It just doesn't waste any space. And the other machines have actually wasted space. It's just better engineering, which is why the thing is as big as it needs to be and not an inch more. And that is when you see the kind of, so that's the Cybex Brow at the corner, you see that?
We have it at SK as well.
Yeah, so you see this tiny thing. And you remember those big huge cable crossovers. So I needed this as an example to show the students. This is a floor which my students actually learn what is the toughest bloody floor. We've thrown 80, 100 pound dumbbells, metal ones, not the rubberized ones, and we've thrown it. So this is the Herculean floor. 500 rupees per square foot, but bloody nothing preserves your quota, and it's only 6 mm, it's polyurethane. So again, we do these sample 100 square feet floors everywhere in all our academies. So if you see the Kolkata one, then also you will see the Herculean blue. And the Kolkata one, of course, is the latest and hence the biggest. It has to be an improvement over the last one.
No, click on that again. No, the first one. First Kolkata.
Kolkata one, click on the plus.
Kolkata one. I think Kolkata 2 is the lecture room. Yeah. Go to
So
Kolkata
these are Kolkata lecture rooms. So you see that this is what you mean by a center of excellence. Hi, welcome.
I've seen him earlier. He was twice his size.
He's 13 years old. The editor of Parsi Times calls me and says, this is dog, can you please do something about it? He's up for adoption. And he's with a lady who can no longer look after him. So I said, okay, I've got too many animals. She said, I'll look after him. I'll find somebody to adopt. Then she says nicely, he's 13 years old. I said, who the hell is going to adopt a 13-year-old? Nobody adopts a 13-year-old. And complete bloody metabolic syndrome. He was obese. Yeah. He's like me. So that's a master trainer. who's teaching forming technique right now. Batches can be of 40 students, but then practicals are broken up into groups of only 5. 5 students and 1 master, 1:5 ratio. All of these people, they are not members of a gym. They've come here to become trainers. They've come here to become instructors. So after spending 5 months with us and then about 2 more months for assessments to get over, if they pass the assessments, they get a certificate and then they get employed in the industry and they make a living as personal trainers. And that's the K11's senior faculty lecturer. We're going to mastering as a lecturer. And what you're seeing happening here right now with this batch is what we call as a demo workout. Okay? So it's literally like watching a training video, but you're watching a training video in reality, 3D. So there will be a student of an earlier batch who's got very good form, and he'll execute it. This guy will give a commentary all throughout while that workout is going on. A lot of things when we talk in the classroom, so when we're talking in the classroom, some of them cannot really visualize what we're saying. So that is why the moment he does a lecture on legs in the classroom, the next lecture is what is called as a leg demo. So the lecture moves from the classroom to the gym floor. So this is our methodology of teaching. Again, yes, it's proprietary. It is our intellectual property, our method of teaching, which is a lecture followed by a demo. So they are on the gym floor, but they are attending a theory class. They're not attending practicals. They're just getting a visual of what a workout is. A lot of places, a visual like this is termed as practicals. And after this, after all the lectures are over, which is about 33 lectures in total, after that starts the practicals. And there will be about 21 sessions of these practicals happening. So this is another batch happening. This is another master. This batch is happening here. So that's Amit Sardal. He's a senior faculty, K11. He usually will be traveling, all the lecturers actually. They travel to the Mumbai center, then they do lectures in Delhi. He's actually traveled quite a bit extensively and now he's back home in Mumbai. With also next time in Kolkata. So he'll be going to Kolkata now after about 15-20 days, doing lectures there. So we've got a small teaching team, and that's one of the biggest agendas for K11 is to build the teaching team and create local faculty. Obviously, they take a lot of trouble in traveling up and down. They relocate literally for one month in each city, and plus it's expensive even for the academy to do that. So we are busy trying to build faculty in all these places. So Kolkata will have its own faculty, but it will take time. Teachers can't really be trained like that in a jiffy. You can't really hand over a lecture flow to a teacher and say, okay, now you teach. So they will be trained.
एक the right किंवा left. कुठला एक the right किंवा left. आता मला पहिला right घ्यायचा आहे की left घ्यायचा आहे हे डिपेंड करतं कुठला पाय माझा स्ट्रॉंग आहे कुठला पाय माझा स्ट्रॉंग आहे कळतं मी काय बोलतो आता प्रत्येकाला माहिती आहे प्रत्येकाला हे माहिती एक पाय स्ट्रॉंग आहे आणि एक पाय
Bombay, constraint of space, so you've got this functional training staircase to manage, so be careful. So this is a counseling room. So whenever somebody new comes to join or inquire about the course, so we do not take a direct enrollment. Even if a person has made up his mind that I want to do my course at K11, he cannot directly enroll. He has to meet a K11 counselor. So that's Anubhav, he's a K11 counselor. So Anubhav will basically explain everything about the course to them. About the assessments, about the course, how it is taught, study matter, everything will be explained to them. He'll also ask them a few questions after giving all the information about their reasons for doing the course, about their opinion about what's going to happen in the fitness industry. Where do they see themselves? Why are they doing the course? Is the reasons for doing the course correct? Are they the kind of people who will understand the course material? It's not about intellect here. We don't judge anybody on intellect. It's just that many people, unfortunately, they misunderstand and think that कसरत का कोर्स है, फिजिकल एक्सरसाइज का, इसमें पढ़ाई ज़्यादा नहीं होगा. बाद में शॉक हो जाते हैं कि भाई इतना पढ़ाई है. देन एक वोकेशनल एजुकेशन का एक कर्स है. लोगों को लगता है कि अगर हमने पेमेंट किया है तो सर्टिफिकेट तो मिलेगा ही मिलेगा. सो अनफॉर्चुनेटली दैट इज़ नॉट ट्रू ना. देयर इज़ अ एग्जाम. दैट सर्टिफिकेशन मीन्स दैट यू हैव पास द एग्जाम. तो ये सारी चीज़ें ज़रा इंडस्ट्री में मैच्योरिटी आने में टाइम लगेगा, बट इट हैज़ टू बी एक्सप्लेन टू देम. अगर आप एक्सप्लेन नहीं करो फिर उनका भी फॉल्ट नहीं है. अगर उन लोग ज्वाइन करें दे एक्सपेक्ट अ सर्टिफिकेट विदाउट पासिंग द एग्जाम्स. तो सारी मालूमात जानकारी के बाद देन if a person is deemed to be fit enough to enroll, then they give a proceed to enroll stamp. And once the inquiry gets the proceed to enroll stamp, then he can definitely go ahead and pay at the registration counter. This is something that we've initiated from the last 4 months. पहले ऐसा नहीं था. Small little pantry. So Namita is also a course counselor. She's a K11 student counselor. So she also has the same job profile. She'll explain everything to every inquiry that comes in. Then this is another classroom. This man was considered to be the most intelligent, and he says, I don't have any special talent. I'm only passionately curious. That means that curiosity is what made him so knowledgeable, way more knowledgeable than others. And K11 basically emphasizes curiosity over all else. Curiosity नहीं है तो knowledge नहीं आती है बस. And we encourage curiosity. Formal education doesn't encourage asking questions. K11 में you are encouraged to ask questions. You ask 100 questions, you'll be answered. Every doubt will be answered. Every query. More and more books every month, but एकदम चुन के books रखते हैं, the ones that really matter for our students to read further, learn a bit more beyond the course as well. That's another counseling cabin. We normally will have about 12 to 15 walk-in inquiries every day, and they'll be counseled here. Then one thing we're very lucky is to have a terrace in Mumbai. So Mumbai city, difficult to get a terrace, so come, we made a lovely sit out for our students. So in between lectures, they can open up their dabbas, keep their manuals, study from it, have a cup of coffee. So we're lucky to have this kind of a real estate here. As you can see, we've occupied every small little tiny space. So our counselors actually sit here and work or answer phone calls, and then afterwards their appointments when they come, they're taken in those counseling cabins. Very spacious. And that's my den at the academy, what I like to call as the principal's chambers. So कोई student को अगर nervous करना है तो इधर लेकर even if I have to praise the student, they feel very, very. So it's very important in a school for a principal to have his chambers. So I generally sit at the head office, but when I'm here at the academy for my lectures or whatever, then I use this cabin. So as you can see, cabin kahin bhi ho, my eyes have to be everywhere. There you go. FBB art for you, okay, and he basically does the sketches of all bodybuilding legends, all the competitive greats, Mr. Olympias, हर एक का किया है. And उसकी एक Instagram की ID थी, which I used to follow him on Instagram, this guy, and I used to love the work he used to do. So I used to like every post of his, whatever sketches he used to do, and I used to show Kalyani also, okay, this guy is really, really good in the way he does the sketches. तब मेरे को मालूम नहीं था. Kalyani had contacted him and given my pictures. So he's a commercial guy in the sense that he does it for a profession. So despite me not being Mr. Olympia and being only Mr. Mumbai, he was paid the right amount and he did a job. And this actually on Instagram was an epic moment for me because I used to follow her, no? I don't know what I was thinking. Like it didn't strike me it was me. And then it caught my attention. I'm going like, huh? It's like I almost fell off my chair. How did he get my photograph? So Kalyani had contacted him and passed this photograph to him. And that's quite an accurate picture. That's exactly how I looked in 2008. The artist is good. I have changed. I say tha, very accurate. बाद में students out of love and affection they also use their artistic talents और कभी-कभी मेरी सूरत बराबर से नहीं बनाते हैं तो भी प्यार से बनाते हैं तो मेरे को लिखना पड़ता है because they ask आपने लगाया so there have this is one attempt then you see that was the biker one. This is a good one actually. This is a good one. And this one is also damn good.
Yeah.
And that I would say is an attempt. So छोड़ा एक फॉर्म बनाया, स्टूडेंट डिक्लेरेशन फॉर्म, और ये फॉर्म का टाइटल अगर आप देखो, अपील टू द डायरेक्टर फॉर एक्सेप्टिंग एनरोलमेंट अगेंस्ट द एडवाइस ऑफ अ K11 काउंसलर. और यहाँ पे जो भी K11 काउंसलर ने बोला है ये सारी चीज़ें मेंशन्ड है और यहाँ पे उसको साइन करना होता है नीचे. अब होता क्या है कि जो आदमी एकदम जोश में बोल रहा है कि आप मना कर रहे हो, मेरे को तो करना ही है, कुछ भी करके करना है, एंड देन यू से कि अगर ज्वाइन करना है तो आपको ये साइन करना पड़ेगा, लाओ, एंड दे गो टू साइन. सो द मोमेंट दे गो टू साइन दे विल सी दिस इन रेड. अगर आप पढ़ो, इम्पॉर्टेंट, do not sign without reading the document above in detail. And when that student wants to still sign, पढ़ लिया, ठीक है, पढ़ लिया, right? He stopped by the counselor and he said, लंबा है, आप पढ़ना नहीं चाहते, मगर क्या करें, रूल है, तो आप सिर्फ सुनिए, मैं पढ़ के भी बताती हूँ. So then the counselor will read this entire thing. तो अभी आप समझ गए, अभी भी कोर्स करना है, हाँ, प्लीज साइन करिएगा. And then the signature is taken. दिल्ली में I have a student. His father is a proper laborer. लोहार है, मगर वो लोहार नहीं, वो लोहार के लिए काम करता है, मतलब, you get it? He is absolutely labor. I got a call from the assessment department saying, sir, this boy is worth meeting, he's terrific. And you know how much he scored? 97% aggregate. 90 plus is rare. Okay, so he's a boy from Delhi. So 97% I said, and all 90%ers I meet. There's still a handful of 90%ers here and there. So every month there is one day that is kept for me to meet the 90%ers, and the 90%ers become very important that they get placed. So I had to meet this boy, very dignified boy, but hair and all that, I knew that if he comes in front of the gym owner just might already make up his mind to reject. Half the decision is happening by the time the person walks in, sits. I said, we can't take a risk with this guy. We withheld his placements. We said, we're not sending you for placements right now. He was in Delhi. We paid for his travel to Mumbai, made him spend an entire day with Santosh Bakshi, who's the director of Smart Tips. He went through an entire rigorous one day, entire full day soft skills, further one-on-one with Santosh Bakshi. He's attended the personality development also. Haircut, clothing, all of that, because we cannot risk this 97%er boy who comes from a labor class 97%. Now this guy has to make it. Very important for K11 for him to make it. It'll be a big hit if this guy doesn't make it in the industry. So he has stretched his budget, paid money that is beyond his means, paid so much bloody attention and learned with such dedication that he's a 97%er in assessments. अब ये लड़का अगर placement में, if that person could not see that diamond, so he's he's crude, and hence we had to polish him up. We did whatever we could in that short duration span, so that the diamond in the rough could actually be seen by. Then I make calls directly to the directors of those companies that I'm going to hire, and I see to it that I tell them that, boss, okay, so he's going to speak Hindi, but he's a damn good guy and he's 97%, and the guy, see, when you rise up like this and when you put this kind of effort, it's not possible the guy is not going to be an ideal employee. He'll be a fantastic employee for any gym owner. So then I have to tell the gym owner about what kind of an asset he's going to get, and to just trust me on this, that I'm providing him with a asset. So I'll try from my end also. Finally we'll get him placed. But this boy is how you make a career in the fitness industry, or rather how you make a career in any industry for that matter. Why fitness? We've got people who are making 2 lakhs and 3 lakhs per month from the fitness industry, and we've got people making 8,000 rupees from the fitness industry. So as soon as you enter the K11 head office, you're greeted by this big huge frame. It's a painting actually done and printed on canvas. So this is Madhukar Talwalkar, the founder of Talwalkar Gyms, the biggest chain of gyms in India, 200 plus clubs. And he's by all means the pioneer in the fitness industry in India, so the pioneer of the Indian fitness industry. So industry status is given to something that can provide jobs, something that is done systematically. And the first step that the Indian fitness industry took was with these Talwalkar gyms. So he by all means has been my godfather in the fitness industry. As I explained in the card, my mother was the one to approach him, and then he gave me my first break. And he had done the inauguration of this head office in Jan, and he had come and spoken to my entire team as well. So one thing very characteristic about him and about every honorable person is that actually Madhukar sir told my entire team that I don't know what I've done for this boy, that he's showing so much gratitude. मैंने क्या किया मेरे को अब तक मालूम नहीं है. And this is a hallmark of a great person. And for him, he's just basically, he had somebody asking for a personal trainer. He told me, okay, you become a personal trainer. But the implications of that action, where it takes you. So for him, it's just one assignment that he gave a boy, right? But for me, it becomes my first step. So he may think he's not done anything great for me, but I have to acknowledge the fact that my first step was because of him, and then afterwards I took it from there. But you can never ever forget that first step. So we were at this award ceremony जो दिल्ली में होता है, FitEx का एक fitness industry awards, FEA करके है, Fitness Excellence Awards. तो वो award ceremony के लिए both me and Madhukar sir were invited, and we were both supposed to get awards. So this was a photograph. It was actually a photograph, and in that photograph, he's actually holding a phone or something in his hand. So that's been removed by the artist. And I gave that photograph to this artist, and he made this sketch from that photograph, which we've got it digitally printed and then on canvas, and it's come to life. And actually this was a surprise for Madhukar sir, because when he inaugurated the place, then he came and I made him unveil. We had curtains on this, and then you can read this, which is something that I've written. And this, what I've written now, is actually for my staff, so that whenever they come in, they read it, or when they're going out, they read it, and they actually read it and understand why this man's photograph is there with me. So I'm the founder of K11, and he started my career, right? So if you read this, it says, my dear K11 team. So as I said, it's addressed to my team. The man I'm standing with is truly the pioneer of the entire Indian fitness industry. He laid the cornerstone of my career. K11 is able to build careers only because Mother Earth laid the first brick that built my career. If you believe that K11 helped your career, then every time you pass this portrait, please do thank Sir from the bottom of your hearts, because we all are where we are today only due to that first break offered to me by Sir. So this K11 family also has to understand that if they're happy working in this organization, they feel that their careers are moving up. This organization would not have happened if that first brick was not laid by this man. So that was the thinking behind doing this, and it came out just the way we wanted it. That's the K11 footprint actually across India. So we are already in Mumbai, Pune, the green dots. We are there in Delhi, we are there in Kolkata. This artwork was made when Kolkata admissions are rolling, but now Kolkata has finished off one batch. So it should actually be a green. Then the orange dot Ahmedabad is the one that should be now in blue, because the admissions will start rolling now. Ahmedabad interior work is already started. Then in the third tranche from the NSDC, we are going to basically set up academies in Guwahati, which I'm very excited about. Northeast is a very exciting catchment area for students needing education and skill providing. Then Jaipur as a town is doing very well in the fitness industry. So that is another place that we're doing an academy. Bengaluru, of course. And we've earlier done well in Hyderabad. So we're going to be doing a full-fledged center in Hyderabad as well. And once these centers are done, so actually after Ahmedabad, we're thinking of consolidating, not putting up any more centers for at least about a year or 2 years, building up our teaching team. And once that is done, then we will set up 3 academies at a rapid pace, which is Guwahati, Jaipur and Bangalore. That's a small little conference room, correct? Aptly called as the deadlift, the biggest lift with the maximum weight. And here also there's an interesting story. You see this blue chair here?
Student.
Yes. So, again, in one of the books that I was reading, I read about Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. Okay, and he in his massive boardroom, I mean, you can imagine what the Amazon boardroom must be like. So at the headquarters Amazon boardroom, he always leaves one chair empty. There's one chair empty because that representation on the board is supposed to be the customer. So with the Amazon, nothing bigger than a customer. And the customer is on the board of directors of the boardroom. And the reason why that chair is empty and nobody is allowed to sit there is because everybody discussing anything, when okay, what should we do at Amazon? What more we can do? Whatever. All the discussions are done keeping in mind that customer. So for us, we don't have customers, we've got students. So I was very taken up by that idea. I said that's awesome that he has that representation of the customer. So getting inspired with that, I said in my boardroom also I'm going to sacrifice one spot and have this student chair, so that whenever my heads of departments are sitting with me discussing strategy, this, that, you never lose sight of the student. And then any strategy developed, anything it could be, is keeping in mind the student. Maybe we are discussing some cost cutting, but then this chair will be a reminder that nahi bhai, wo cost cutting nahi ho sakta hai, because somewhere it might affect the student. We can develop things, we can have things, but this should be there in the mind. So one more thing is that we had this really good artist who could do this thing about the interior. So these are all people who influenced us at some point in time or the other. Whether it's Richard Branson and his quote, APJ Abdul Kalam is somebody who inspires my wife a lot. Einstein, of course, has got a lot of quotes on education. Bruce Lee was a great philosopher. His shortest quote that is there is extremely important to us. Not enough to know, we must apply. Then for Madhukar sir, actually I wrote that quote. This is Madhukar sir's quote. You can see that one there. So it's not his quote, but he does that. He will always greet you with good morning no matter what the time. He meets you at 8 o'clock, he'll say good morning only. and he'll wait for you to remind him that it's not morning, it is evening. And then he'll say his famous dialogue that the sun never sets on people of fitness. So that is why it's his branding. He always says good morning no matter what time of the day. And of course Steve Jobs. So I definitely connect with his philosophy that there are lots of philosophies of Steve Jobs that I completely connect with. Never do market research. Never ask the customer what he wants. Customer will always mislead. Customer never knows what he should want. And I will tell the customer what he should want. So if the customer says open system, I say closed system. That is better. And he did that. And right now, because of his obstinacy and stubbornness, because a lot of wise people tell you that don't do this, don't do that, people don't want it. Arey, do what people want. Arey, people are so fickle, they themselves don't know what they want. And you have to go with what you think is absolutely and completely right. So if you think it's absolutely and completely right, then you'll be able to convince other people also. Brand and her quotes, and this woman, her books shaped my life completely and my outlook towards everything. So whether I do business, whether I'm working out, it's her philosophies that have influenced me tremendously in my 20s and completely changed the way I looked at things. And then there are some other quotes there of different people, and I need to add some more quotes. This wall needs to be covered up with quotes. There are some Narayana Murthy quotes that I want. And the reason for these quotes to surround every space is actually a psychological phenomenon. It's like my entire team comes to work here. And so nobody really bothers to read these quotes, but they come here every day and they don't even realize how many times their eyes have actually gone over the quotes. Subliminal messages keep coming in. They're not even aware that they are looking at these words. Subconscious is registering these words. So it's based on that it can create the right work ethic if they're constantly being bombarded with quotes that have some meaning. Every single quote is something that I believe in, so it's to get them on the same wavelength as me, because then there can be a lot of synergy. That's my wife Kalyani's cabin. See the difference in personalities. She likes openness. I like closed. She likes bright. I like austere and somber. So both our cabins couldn't be more diverse in personality. And then of course we saw Shadow's photograph there also. I have it here, I have it in the Delhi center. I'm still actually going to be printing some really big canvases of photographs of me and Shadow together. And this is my quote again. So optimal strength, performance and the attribute of grace are synonymous. They arise from the application of precise biomechanics. That means a horse always looks graceful, a cheetah always looks graceful because the biomechanics are precise, and basically that adds to their efficiency of movement and performance. So this photograph of Shadow in almost mid-flight along with my quote. So I've done an Insta post saying I don't like putting quotes unless they're mine. I don't like putting photographs of animals unless they're mine. My horse, my quote. And I'd put this as a almost towards the end of the day. There's one agenda left. I always end my day with a Skype call to all my center managers. So they all get on a Skype call to me and they basically report the day's proceedings. Okay, so that's the end of my work day. About to take my bag and go home. There is only one girl still working late in the night. All the workstations are empty, and that that's the normal thing. I normally leave the office whenever I'm here. I'm always the last to leave. And stay tuned to bodyandstrength.com. Right? I really enjoyed sharing my day with bodyandstrength.com. And I hope you all found it interesting enough.